Hello, everyone, and welcome to another pick a card reading. Today's subject is in tune with the astrology playing out in the present moment, where we do have some really powerful alchemical aspects encouraging us to transmute various elements, things in our lives, in our inner being, and so on. But if you'd like to know more about the astrology, just check out my astrology content. But this pick a card reading is focusing on what is alchemizing in your life, in your being right now. The symbol of alchemy in tarot is the temperance card. So you are invited to choose between three different temperance cards and, of course, their respective deck. So this is the first one. This is the second one. And finally, last but not least, the third one. So I'm going to allow you a couple of seconds to make your choice, and then we'll start with the first pile. So I'm going to be putting these other two piles away, and we'll start with the first pile. Now, before I pop this temperance card back into its deck, I decided to first of all check for every single pile which area of life you are affected the most, or which karmic cycle in your life you're in the present moment, because that adds a lot of clarity and a lot of insight. So I'm going to be using a tarot deck which only contains major arcana, because it is the major arcana which represent our soul's evolutionary journey. So they are really good depictors of the cycle we are in. And this is a really special tarot deck because every single card is a landscape, really. So I really like that. Oh, okay. So we have the World card. It's really nice the way the artist depicted it. And of course, the World card has a lot to do with Saturn. So completions, finalities, something becoming solid, something becoming, permanent or for the long term. So it is definitely where you're either finishing something that you've been building perhaps the past 20 months or perhaps even the past 10, 11 years of your life. So it's really important what you're doing with the finishing touches. Because right now, I do sense that either a major karmic completion is about to enter your life, where all the pieces of the puzzle that has been, affecting you the past couple of years are finally, arranging into something coherent. So the big picture, basically, that you can see and have and use and enjoy, of course, the world card, or it can also be where you're finally getting to the position where you can put everything together, because you might have all the elements in your life to build something big, stable, very grounded for yourself, to realize a dream, a project, something that is really important and specific to you. Because if you look at the soul's evolutionary journey, the world card usually depicts, the crystallization of a massive cycle, either a cycle of 18 years or 33 years. So this is really important for you. But first of all, let us see what the tarot says. The tarot where the temperance card, that deck where the temperance belongs to. So basically the deck that you have chosen. Okay, so let's see what the tarot has to say. Ooh, we have the Ten of Cups again. The Ten of Cups is a big completion, but a completion that also brings you emotional satisfaction, emotional well being, or it can be where it is exactly emotionally you feel a sense of completion. The Three of Coins, so this might be about something that you've been building for a long time, either work, career, or related to work and career or life path, soul path, where it might not have something directly to do with it, but it can be something to either catalyze it, enable it, give it a shape and form, give you the opportunity to live it, enjoy it, maybe comfort, maybe recognition, maybe something external, professional that you might be needing. But let's continue. Ooh, we have the Eight of Wands. So again, rapid movement, something maybe legal of nature. Maybe you need some like a contract, like some a ruling of a court of justice or an institution, something official, where maybe it's a project or something that needs to get an official form or official recognition, like registered somewhere. Why? To have protection, to have benefits, or you to exist legally. Then we have the Five of Cups reversed, which is really, really good because the Five of Cups reverse does represent that there was a time, there was a phase where it deeply disappointed you, where you tried and tried and tried, and it just didn't come together. Maybe it came together practically, physically, or personally, or maybe it did happen, just exactly either the legal side of it wasn't going anywhere or the material side of it wasn't going anywhere, and that was the cause of this. Yeah, the Empress reverse, it you felt like it was a massive sacrifice. You might have felt like it's your soul mission. Every basically inner component of your being determined you, or please excuse my poor choice of words, maybe it's slave driven you to push, to keep on going, not to give up. But you didn't have either the love or the material appreciation, the material comfort, or it was so very tiring that you had to put either your personal life, love life, anything that has to do with the joy and pleasure of life aside to do it, be in it, go with the flow, do what you can, build it basically. And finally, this Nine of Swords reverse, which means that there was a lot of depression. And when I say depression, not necessarily, like a mental illness, but, with the disappointment, the feeling of disappointment where it just dragged you low and low and low. And there, the Empress, there might be a strong dichotomy because the Empress does suggest that there is a lot of value, love, beauty, even in your work, in whatever you try to build, regardless of what that is. But in the past, the past couple of years, or even the past 10 years, how should I actually explain this? Because at the Empress is Venus. Reality did not reflect in a lived way, in a material, in a physical way, the value that your work, your effort, your talents, your skills, whatever, actually contain, because it's very, very valuable. It's very Aquarian in the sense that it's unique, it's futuristic in a way, it's also very authentic and truthful to you and who it is that you are. So I do sense that it is this completion that is coming in your life. But let's examine the nature of it. So we have the Four of Coins, and the Two of Swords reverse, and the Moon reverse. Is that right? This is, and the Hangman reverse. Now, the Four of Coins is very self-explanatory. It does mean material stability. And it also means that it's very important to you. It is basically like a soul mission where you could not compromise the true value, the soul value, even if it meant facing this disappointment, facing the Nine of Swords, the depression, the anxiety, the where your inner feeling is one and external reality is the total opposite. Of course your mind will play up. Of course it will feel like something, like sinking, like drowning, like the fool's errand, basically. And I'm so sorry to use such a strong word, but that's how it felt. And you knew in your heart of hearts that you need to keep on going, that you cannot stop. So yeah, it wasn't an easy energy, but the Two of Swords reversed. Something happened recently where you know the value of your work, of whatever you've been building. You know that it has to enter your life. You know that for you personally, feeling wise, emotionally at least, happiness wise, there is no other way. Don't get me wrong, physical reality or the quantum strings of the future can give you a myriad of ways how you can live this. But emotionally, your true happiness is kind of one-sided. There is only one path, one journey, one way of manifestation. And perhaps in the past you thought that that is what you were doing wrong, that you're you're reducing it to singularity, and you're basically uh, taking away the chances of everything else that can manifest to manifest. But recently you actually kind of, how should I say, embraced the truth that no, for you personally, there is one completion, one side of things. And the Moon card with the Two of Swords, and all of these three cards are reversed. So this means you see the truth, it resonates, you feel it. And the Moon reversed, your inner being, either through dreams or just a very strong gut feeling, you can sense that the hangman reverse, a turnaround of events is coming where you're no longer in the hangman position. So suspended, blocked, trapped in your cocoon, in your shell, in your bubble. And while that's absolutely fine because it's protective, it's comfortable, it's you living life from within. So it has a lot of positivity to it. But I do believe that this is where the cocoon is breaking, where external reality meets you. And going back to these cards, the Eight of Wands, that's very swift movement. Eight of Wands can represent when this Mercury retrograde season that it hasn't started quite yet, but we're getting very close to it. After Mercury retrograde wraps itself up, I do believe something is coming. Three of Coins, either results of your work. Ten of Cups, either something, someone, or strings of events which complete things in your life, things left uncompleted, for example, relationships or transactions, or if there's anything owed to you karmically by family, by people, by ex-part, anything like that can come into your life. Let us choose a couple of more cards to clarify. Yeah. Really, really sorry, my microphone fell off. So the Justice card, how very relevant. Now, the Justice card can affirm that it's something legal, or it can also represent that it's divine justice for you, things taking another turn. Not necessarily the opposite, where life is going to support you so much so that you don't even know what to do with it. Not really, but where you are in comfort, where this Empress is lived. And the other card was the Three of Wands, an opportunity, or a relocation, or something coming to you from abroad. Someone, something, chances, contract, collaboration, opportunity, something is, progressing, but in a just, fair, equilibrious way. And we cannot forget that the South Node is in Libra. So it is actually time for justice. Now let's choose a couple of oracle cards to see the energies in your life. This is Astro Tarot, so it's actually giving us a hint of the astrological energies in your life. Hmm. Oh, okay, we have one. This is so lovely. So it's Cancer energy combined with Virgo energy. And both of these cards are depictive of the divine female. Cancer, the mother, the nurture, but you're also your roots. Being able to finally, like a tree sapling, or how you call that, to put your roots in the ground and feel nurtured by it. And the Virgo energy is where your mastery, your work, your efforts, your learning, and your intellectual activities finally pay off. This is where it will feel like, because what comes after the World card? The Fool. You know, this also represents a new beginning, where the new beginning is not really new in the sense that it doesn't come by surprise. You just get what you worked for, because you worked for this new beginning. You worked for the stability. You worked for this groundedness. So I do believe that is what's alchemizing in your life, where the moon with Cancer, because Cancer is the moon's home sign. That means the I see. That means where you're truly embodying or trying your very hardest of what it is that you leave behind when your mission, when your work is done on this earth. So this is where you're actually beginning your great work, or that stability which gives you the cradle to slowly and surely over years, tens of years, build up something that you're gonna leave behind when you know, transcend. And the Virgo is where you get the stability. You get what you need for things to work in your life, for your soul path to work, basically. Now let's choose different oracle cards, like a guidance or a message. We have two. This is so lovely. So I'm going to show you. Trust your own understanding. Exactly the understanding that I spoke about, where your inner forces, when you were on this journey to get where you are now, told you not to stop, told you that there is a lot of value, a lot of creational power, love within you, but external reality showed you the opposite, and you chose your inner truth. So that is your own understanding. And this is where you're in the phase of your life where you have to do the same. Trust your understanding. Trust what your inner forces are preparing you for. And this is the sweetest laughter. Finally, a moment in your life when you can smile, when you can laugh, when you can be lighthearted, because I do sense that your journey upon this point, as magical, as epic, as legendary as it was, it did sour you a little bit. It took away your soul's lightheartedness. Oh, and it came to me, the inner child. This is also about the inner child, because after the completion, as I said, what comes after the role? The fool. But the fool is also a depiction of the inner child, innocence, where you can laugh, where you can play, where you don't have to take things very seriously anymore, especially, in a material sense, where either there is no scarcity in your life anymore, or you're not alone, or you have people, friends, or a lover who you can, laugh with, who you can tap into the more childlike parts of life. And finally, another oracle deck. So I do believe this also depicts the siesta that comes after the stability. Maybe this is a holiday for some people, or a sabbatical year, or something that you really, really worked for and deserve, and your inner child needs it so much. So this is so interesting. So this oracle card is familiar comfort. I do believe that what this is that you worked so hard to build this comfort for yourself that is coming. The comfort, the stability, and where you can just breathe, because life, your mission, etc., is on autopilot. It doesn't need as much energy and effort and struggle and strive anymore. It gives you the comfort basically that you deserve. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up for you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this reading. And if you'd like, please subscribe, and please hit the thumbs up, and of course the views, because all of this makes my channel grow a little bit quicker than usual. So thank you, everyone, and until next time, bye for now. So hello, pile number 2. Let me just, yeah, this was your deck and your temperance card. Thank you so much for being here. And let us take a look at what is alchemizing in your life right now. Just like for the previous pile, before I get into shuffling your tarot deck, I'm gonna be using another tarot deck which only contains major arcana to see what cycle or what area of your life this alchemical process is taking place in. Wow, we have the sun. Now the sun immediately suggests that this is very, very personal. This is about you. This is about your ego. And when I say ego, don't mean the bad things, just that it's not as much on a deep soul level. It's more about that person who you generate, your identity, yourself, maybe first house, ascendant for some people. And you really, really need this, because I do sense that this, I'm going to just put the temperance card back into its deck. So getting back to the sun card, I do sense that this area or this part of your being, the ego, the identity, who it is that you are, what are you generating, has been left behind, has been maybe sacrificed, if that even makes sense. Because more important energies, karmic events, etc., played out in your life, and you just didn't have maybe time or energy or emotions or fuel or whatever to focus on the self. And the sun, of course, can also represent the inner child. So that's also, or it can also represent where for perhaps very few listeners of this second pile, but for some of you guys, this is where you want a child. And this is where it's that time where you can actually have the child. But anyway, let's get to the tarot. So let us see. We have the death card immediately. So yeah, you're after an ego death. So this might represent that maybe your life in as it was, maybe 13 months ago, or 4 years ago, or maybe for some people this started at 2020. Kind of, I don't want to say collapsed, but it was over of that phase, and the adventure of the person who you were at that moment actually ended. And there might have been a lot of external endings, maybe a marriage, a relationship, a contract, a job, or you losing someone very dear. And so anyway, the self who you were then actually ended. We had some tarot cards falling off, and where I wanted to go with this, but the resurrection, the rebirth, or generating basically reformatting yourself, rebirthing yourself, maybe that hasn't taken place yet. So we have the Seven of Swords reversed. We have the Six of Cups. We have the Ace of Wands. Now, the Seven of Swords reversed, without a doubt, represents that maybe you changed city or environment or even country, but it does represent that your social sphere is gone. So the old social sphere, the old acquaintances, wherever you belong to, energetically maybe, or social sphere perhaps in a larger sense, in the past is like it's almost totally gone. It's like just a memory. And the Six of Cups does represent that maybe you returned to familiar ground, a familiar place, your home, or maybe quite contrary, you went to a place which was familiar to your soul. That can also be the situation here. You took some very powerful action without a shadow of a doubt, because that's the Ace of Wands. You really, really did a lot. So let's get more cards. We had the Knight of Pentacles falling out. So this does mean that the reason why you couldn't rebirth your ego or your inner child didn't have its moment is because your progress to get to where you are now was very, very slow, especially from a material perspective, because there was so much in your life that had to complete or rearrange, or karma played a very strong role, because I do believe that for some of you guys it was family, where karma swept over your family. And even if it wasn't you personally affected the most, whoever was affected, either had to be a witness, you had to be there, you just, it just stopped you in your tracks. But that which you didn't see or didn't feel at that time, how much was actually building up for you. So we have the Queen of Wands. A lot of life demanded a lot of patience from you. But it also unleashed your creativity. It also unleashed a certain kind of truth. You seeing your life yourself from a totally different lens that you've been perhaps viewing yourself all your life. So right now you are in a totally different mindset. You have a totally different worldview and a totally different view of yourself and your life. What is fair, what is not fair, what you deserve, all the high priestess. So exactly, truth and clarity, where your inner truth just welled up on the surface, basically. Two of Wands. Exactly. You were guided to go for the things that are very, very important for you in life. So after this death moment, where a lot of things in your life ended, some of those things were actually, you were the death there, you were the reaper, in the sense that you said, until this point and no more, I'm gonna end this relationship, this friendship, this job, this living situation, whatever it was. But for much, you were the reaper in the symbolic sense. You pulled the plug, or you harvested. You said, until this point and no more. And from there onwards, I do see a lot of effort, a lot of initiative, a lot of work, even the night of coins, a lot of material work, a lot of investment, a lot of study, a lot of effort invested to make your life resonant to your inner truth. We have the Nine of Cups, exactly for your dream, for your wish, for your emotional happiness to be able to be completed. And we have the Judgment reversed. And that represents that you had to rejudge so much of your past, because the person who you were before this death moment, the ego death, had some pretty radical judgments about a lot of elements in life. And some of that judgment was not necessarily harmonious and equilibrious. It might have worked for the person who you were, but it could simply not work for the person who you were growing into, who you were becoming. Because it, as I said, for the future version of you, it was really like misaligned belief. It wasn't exactly truth. While for the person who you were, it was rooted in a very strong truth, especially about the world and life and people. You know, it was a little bit radical. For example, where you have to work hard for everything. Life is always unfair. People are always jerks, and this is what you have to accept and live with. Some of these things, this is where you had to come to the realization that no, these are not true. They were true at one point, but they're not true anymore. Because even if life wants to show you this truth, you had to, because this is already done. Put your foot down and say, no, this isn't my truth. This isn't my reality. This isn't my faith. So I'll reject this. I don't want this. And that rejection and that rejudging of life and situation and everything was the actual alchemy in your life. That was the best thing you could have done, because everything in your life from that moment onwards rearranged. And a lot of completion, a lot of progress, a lot of personal wish fulfillment took place from that moment onwards. And a lot of it was you doing it with your own resources, with your own creativity, with your bare hands. But one element that is not completed and needs to complete is this identity, is this son. Because you're after a lot of work, a lot of soul searching, a lot of alchemy. And you might have seen the ego, the son, basically, who you're generating, as something unworthy to put effort into it. Only now do you get to the realization that after your soul is fed, the inner artist, the alchemist within you, the soul, the unconscious, the higher self, all of what you want is actually progressed, evolved. You've done a lot. But now is the ego's turn, the identity's turn. How can you integrate all the wisdom that you accumulated and this radical life change that you have started? How can you integrate that into your new identity? And this is where it's not an option, not a choice. You have to. It's a must because your being cannot go on forward without that special identity. I don't even know how to explain. Let me just choose another tarot card as a clarifier. And then we'll move to the oracle. Okay? The Ace of Swords. So this Ace of Swords, I do believe when you speak about yourself, oh, another card popped out, the Hangman. So the Ace of Swords with the Hangman is to cut out your cocoon, shatter your shell, stop your isolation. Because this is how you communicate about yourself. You do need to include the ego. You do need to include your identity, what you like, what you do not like, your flaws, but also your virtues. You know, everything about you need to let your light shine. And if it's the inner child, you have to stop the quarantining of the inner child and allow it to go out and play, to experience life, to enjoy life. You need to start living that reality that you created for yourself, your soul truth or soul path, or that new life that you embarked on. This is where you do need that ego. You do need the identity. You do need your inner son to start projecting onto the world, onto other people. You do need that because your story cannot continue. And this hangman says that if you're stagnating in your life, that's why you're stagnating. Because you're blocking your inner son. It's powerful, it's creative, it's so strong. But if you're blocking its rays, you're not projecting that, then neither your work, neither your creativity, neither your art, neither your social sphere, and especially your love life, it cannot evolve because it's like an eclipse that lasts forever. If there is no light, then chances are people and even the divine, but when I say the divine here on earth, in a very down-to-earth, earthly way, if nothing is shining, then who are you? You're just anonymous. You know what I mean? You need to get out from that animosity. And let's just choose a couple of oracle cards for better explanation, of course. So the first deck is Astro Tarot. Let's see the... Oh. Sagittarius. The energy of Sagittarius. Now, this can represent for some people the ninth house beliefs. So you got away from those misaligned beliefs. You alchemized that. and you do embody new beliefs, but it's time to affirm them, to, I don't want to say live by them, because I do believe that you do live by them, but this is where you do need to project them, project them onto the world, project them onto other people, project them onto everything. Because if you just keep them inside of you, they're not gonna do all that much for the physical self. Exactly. So this embodies the energy of Gemini and Capricorn. Speak it out, write it out, include yourself, the ego, or the in or whatever into everything that you do. You cannot dissociate from it, because if you're living in the age of Aquarius, basically, you can't just, how should I provide something collectively or for the collective without your distinctiveness, without your basically identity and ego in a very down to earth way. It has to be part of it. And Aquarius, what I said, this Aquarius card, I do believe that signif and you know, this deck, look how thick it is. I do believe that it contains around 80 cards, and only 12 of those are the signs, are like just the signs, and that's it. So for two major, zodiac cards to pop out, so Sagittarius and Aquarius, just like that, is kind of rare. So it's very important for you guys to do this, to actually put yourself into it. You know what I mean? The belief, and Aquarius, the future. And it's not just your future hopes and dreams, because this is it cannot complete. Your future hopes and dreams can simply not complete without the self, the identity in it. But this also means where you might have done a lot of work or whatever for the collective, for a group, for other people, wherever it is that life led you, but very little for the self. So, you know what I mean? This is the balance that you need. Let's get other oracle cards. Okay. Rebellion. And another one popped out, a child. Now, I do believe this says different things. So, first of all, rebellion. Exactly how you changed your beliefs. You know, that's like an act of rebellion against the old self. And a child, you've done all of that to save your inner child, to make your life as innocent, as pure as your heart and your inner child was. You felt that so strongly deep within you, and that's how the big life change started. But this also means what has happened in your life during COVID, during lockdown. What was your act of rebellion? Because I do believe you did things to support people, to help people in isolation, in quarantine, those who were lost, those who were much more vulnerable than you. You've done something in that sense, and that represents value. And that person who did that is part of your true, authentic self. And last but not least, for some people, the child. If you want the child, This encourages you to go and not to go and get it, but to actually, I don't even know how to put this in verse, but to start the process, believe in it. And in order for you to have a child, you do need to have a very strong identity, because otherwise, what are you going to pass on to that child? But I do believe for most people is the inner child who really, really, really needs to, if not, it will rebel against you. The inner child can sabotage everything. So either give what you need to give to the Caesar, to the son, to the inner son, to your identity, to the ego. Stop suffocating it, or stop judging it, basically, viewing the needs and the desires of ego as something anti-spiritual, or in a negative light, because the inner child will rebel against you. So finally, let's choose from this oracle deck. Exactly. This is so beautiful. It says hope and happiness. Hope and happiness is something that the inner child provides for your being. The hope and happiness is, how should I say, structured around the inner child, because it is the inner child that is always thirsty for life. It is also the inner child who has the power to dream when life would tell you rationally, logically the opposite. So this is where you do need to give that inner child of yours what it needs to be happy. Its hope needs to be fulfilled. And you know deep within your heart of hearts what your inner child wants and needs in right now, basically. And the other card, it says bountiful harvest. Exactly. You cannot harvest anything in life unless you claim it, unless your identity shines through that it is you who need it, you who work for it, you who deserve it. It is your hopes and happiness that need to come. So, align yourself with that inner child and give birth to that identity of yours and shine it through. And I'm guided to get one. Okay. It says seek beauty, but I do sense that what it says to you is whatever you can project out into the world. And I don't mean your skills, your talents, but just your son. Yes, of course, it has a lot to do with creativity as well. But this is where your identity, your ego, who it is that you are, who it is that you grown into, or who it is that your inner child is animating you to be, that is infinitely beautiful. You are making the world a poorer place if you shy away forever. So I do believe this is what you guys need to keep on alchemizing. So thank you so much for being here. I do hope that this helped you and resonated. Please like and share and thumbs up and subscribe, because it would mean so much for my channel. And thank you, everyone, from the second pile. Until next time. So hello, everyone who has chosen the final and third pile. This is your temperance card, but just like I've done for the previous piles, I'm going to be using a separate tarot deck, which only has major arcana, to see which cycle of your life you're in, or which area of life this alchemical process is taking place in. Oh, so you have the Empress. So without a shadow of a doubt, this does depict Venus. So it's either self-worth, it is either your love life or values. But when I say values, it's not necessarily money and currency, but the core of that. So the inner feeling of what kind of values you have in your life. So let's put the temperance back into the deck and clarify this. And the moment when I'm doing this reading, we have Venus retrograde in the sign of Leo. So I can imagine how the Empress can be the case for a lot of people. Because, regardless of where that Leo is in your life, where that Venus is retrograding, she also rules Taurus and, I mean, she rules Taurus and Libra. So those two signs, wherever they are in your life, are also affected. Mm, as I was shuffling, this Two of Cups jumped out, so I'm keeping it. And the Two of Cups, how very symbolic. Love. And Two of Cups doesn't necessarily mean romantic love. It's just love. Love in friendship, love in partner, even call just you and another person, but meeting each other, or your relationship with one another is based on love. So let us get a bit more cards to see where this story is going. So we have the Nine of Wands. We have the Ace of Swords reverse. We have the Nine of Swords. Nine of Cups. A lot of nines here. Then we have the Ten of Wands. Pretty heavy energy, I must say. Then we have the Ouroboros, which in this tarot deck is the Wheel of Fortune. Six of Pentacles. And one more, the Temperance. Huh. Well, I do believe, hope that I'm not mistaken, but this Empress. Now, this can either mean really love life for some people, while for others, how should I value? But when I say value, you're really, really skilled or talented or really good at something. You know what I mean? Because these are the two expressions of Venus that really come to me right now. Either the relationship romantic one, or where you have a strong, strong value. But these Two of Cups does represent that either you had a past relationship which really disappointed you. And why? Because it was heavy. It was hard. It was very, very, very hard because you felt so alone from beginning to end. Maybe you weren't always very honest with yourself, in a sense that, well, I'm not really alone, because you weren't alone maybe physically, or you had a lot of elements which kind of forced a fake gratitude upon you. Because maybe if it's a relationship, that partner did do certain things where maybe they were there materially or verbally, or their overall attitude was like positive. You cannot blame them for bad things, you know what I mean? But you felt so alone because, you know, you never ever matched. And that took a very heavy burden on you. Because that well, actually, the nine of wands, yeah, and the nine of swords. You just, it just distorted your perception about yourself, your perception about how you are. Not necessarily on a deep soul level, because I do believe that's your strong point, but your perception of how you are seen, how you are perceived by others, it just distorted it very strongly. So I can see how that Empress is distorted. And maybe this is what the big alchemical theme in your life right now, to set it right. And not necessarily the feeling, because you're so in tune with your feeling, especially now after that relationship ended, regardless of when it was. You know what I mean? It can be 2 years ago, it can be 9 years ago, because time is really relative. But this is where you need to get your mindset back into track. Because I do believe that the person who you were before that relationship had a really good self-supportive mindset. And the relationship somehow destroyed that. But this is mental energy. That's the weird part. It's not deep emotion, the water and stuff like that. It is actually the mind. So that's very weird. And I do believe that for others, for those who is value a talent, a skill, either the job you had, the company you worked at, or what you done for a living, or how you expressed your skills, that kind of did a lot of injustice for you. Maybe there was envy or something, or someone that you trusted did not serve your highest good. You know what I mean? In any way, shape, and form, regardless of what your situation is, you are through with a lot of disappointment. And with, you know, that nine of swords, you had your episode of this depression because of this. And also with that nine of cups, because you had a very twisted and not real visage about yourself, understanding about yourself, you manifested a lot of not so good things in your life. For example, if it's a relationship, people, or, you know, dates, or simply friends, even people, acquaintances, who were exactly what you feared, you know, who showed you exactly your fears, your negative self-talk, your mental blockages, and you thought, what is going on here? Well, what was going on is that they just confirmed that programming which ran within you. And only when you, 10 of swords, sorry, 10 of wands, only when you ended, when you saw the great mental burden that you're projecting on you, only then did these relationships end, these connections, friendships, etc. While for other people, for those of you for who it is a very strong value in your life, you kind of manifested the low value, people using you, profiting from you. Not, I mean, they saw the value of your work or talent or skill, or whatever this is, but they selfishly profited in the sense that, oh, I better take advantage of him or her before she or him wakes up to their real value and starts acting or from a place of true self-worth. So you attracted a lot of, I want to say, bad, but I don't know if that's the proper term, in the sense that your misaligned perceptions reflected in physical reality, regardless if this is a relationship or your value. Because if it's a relationship, it didn't reflect as a relationship, it reflected as all the bad people who don't resonate, who are not like you, who don't get you. So a lot of solitude, a lot of, pain, a lot of life not making any sense. But what is alchemizing right now, that you know all of this? You are actually right now in the right mindset. And it's hard for you to keep up this. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard for you. Because you're still not 100% healed. It doesn't matter how many years it's been now, you're still not 1,000,000% healed. But you are, through effort, through a lot of inner power, maintaining a good mindset, a healthy mindset. It's very hard. And it doesn't come naturally to you. But it's working. And this Wheel of Fortune is finally changes here. And after your look at this Six of Wands, Six of Pentacles, and the Temperance, after you dwell a little bit in this energy, where your inner forces and your mindset and everything in life is equilibrious, and slowly but surely it starts supporting you, Six of Pentacles, the fated event is going to come. And for those of you for whom it is the relationship you need, I'm not let's before I say anything, let's just choose a clarification. So we have Spirit of Cups and Lady of Court. No, I'm not gonna keep these because these are court cards. So a clarity, what's gonna happen? So basically, what is the end result of your alchemy? The Fool. Oh, this is so wonderful. The Fool and the Sun card. The Fool and the Sun is like an unexpected friendship. An like this is valid for everyone. Fool is unexpected, and the Sun is a friendship, or you attracting people into your life, more than one, where it's an adventure after. It does not say that a big fated soul level connection relationship is coming into your life. Neither for those of you for whom it is value, that whatever skill, talent, etc. you have, it's gonna shower you with admirers. No, it says that life will be basically your playground, the Fool. You will finally be able to explore. And this is like a big eye, your eyes opening to everything that life has to offer. Why jump into a relationship when first you can just have a little bit of fun? You can have certain true friendships in your life with people who get you, who are like you, who are interested in you, and more importantly, you are also interested in them. Maybe not necessarily romantically at first, but the sun is shining. It's summer in your life. This is where you can play, you can experiment, you can just embrace the truth, your new truth, the new Venus. Life is going to be like the way you deserve, according to that new mindset that you're very much struggling to keep up, but it's so worth it. So let's just check a few oracle cards. This is Astro Tarot. So this is, let me just show you the picture because it's so important. So celebrating the end, Scorpio with Sagittarius. the old mindset, the old beliefs, that which were like wiped out, and the new that came into their place, that causes for a celebration. Finally, you leave the past behind, and how, and not just the past, because the past was left behind, but the scars, the reminiscence of the past, you know, the way the past disabled you, that is left behind, and celebration, dance, lightheartedness is coming. And the other card was, this is Venus and Venus, Libra and Sagittarius, so it's Venus and Jupiter. Now, Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics in astrology. Venus the lower benefic, Jupiter the bigger one. So bestower of blessings. That is absolutely wonderful, because Libra can represent a relationship, partnership, association, alliance, friendship. And with Sagittarius and Jupiter, that which reflects your faith, that which is truthful to you, that which is just and fair and mutually serving. But another exception of this, a spiritual connection, which does reflect everything that you have done, everything that you believe in. And let's just take another one. So all in all, I do believe the second Astro tarot card does mean that finally you got into the stage where whatever you are alchemizing and have alchemized is gonna reflect an external reality in the shape and form of fairness, and you being seen and perceived the right way. And this is so interesting. This is where it's Virgo and Aquarius. So this depicts the busyness, the trial and error, the experimentation, but done with lightheartedness, where your life is invaded by different people, different projects, different offers, where you are busy and you're jumping from one to the other, but it's fun. It is adventurous. And you're not taking anything, deeply personal. Your life is not wounding you. It's fun, it's lighthearted. Even when a connection is not like working out in a romantic sense, it doesn't matter, because it's fun and it's there to stay in your life in a different expression, if you know what I mean. In a totally different expression. Because, it doesn't have to be romance, it can be anything which has fairness to it, a friendship, an association, or just being a good acquaintance, or just someone you sympathize. There's a mutual sympathy there. Now, let's move on to the different oracle cards. Let's see how these can support the story so far. So we have contemplation. I do believe that this does reflect that you had to do a lot of contemplating to identify the mindset which was like defeating you. And then we have assurance. And I do believe that this is saying, as external reality will slowly and surely be more and more and more fair, more and more just, more equilibrious, you will start to gain a lot of confidence in yourself. And that confidence, that right way of perceiving the self, is gonna do a lot of good, because that is basically the secret. And I'm gonna choose just one more. He had two more. So amplify your positive emotions. I do believe that this is about the self. Amplify the way you see yourself positively, because that is what matters the most, not the the bad side of Virgo, the self-criticism where you just can't forgive even the tiniest mistake. No. And finally, renewal of peace, being at peace with yourself in every way, shape, and form. And finally, another aura. Oh, this is closed hand. Now, I'm not sure I understand this all that well, because we see in this image a figure like with closed fists, shielding his face or hiding his face away. But, oh, I get it. And it's raining down with coins or gold or money. Um, I do believe this depicts that as long as you think in a certain way about yourself, or think what, not even about the self, you think what others might think about you. And if that's negative and you only focus on the negativity, then you can imagine nothing good is gonna, because that's the closed fist. You don't even give other people a chance to express. You just presume your own negative thoughts, but not the present. This was the past. I do believe that this is what you alchemize. And that is why the coin, even though it's raining with coins, which is appreciation, love, value, you could not see the rain. You could not feel it. So I do believe this means that as you're opening your eyes to the reality, life is gonna start. Oh no, no. A lot of cards have. Well, that took a while to gather them up. So one more, universe, please, one more, and let's finish them. Return thought. I do believe this just confirms return thoughts, those thoughts which kind of defeated you back. Oh, okay. And another one popped out. So open hand. You see, I do believe this confirms the closed fist, and then we get to open hand. And the returning thought, your efforts, your work to keep on the positive mindset, to control your thoughts, to control your mental sphere, to make sure that the mental sphere is, on one hand, in tune with reality, and that's both good and bad. If there is criticism to be seen, absolutely, but not in a self-defeating way, because you also need to be totally aware with everything beautiful, positive, valuable about you. So maintaining the balanced and self-serving, success-oriented mindset, the returning thought. And as I said, that's not easy. That's very, very hard. So this concludes your reading pile number 3. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope that this was useful and helpful. And please subscribe, like, and share, because it means so much for my channel. It makes the channel grow. And also, I would like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much for your audience. If you'd like to support my channel, please do what I said earlier. And if you'd like to support me, you can donate in the PayPal link in the description below. Thank you, everyone, and wishing you a blessed weekend. Until next time, bye for now.